Long wife 22F went home drunk with some dudes. I 26 meters have no idea what to do. So last night my wife got hit up by an old friend to hit the town for some drinks. We have a kid who was already asleep, so I volunteered to hold down the fort while she goes out and have some fun. She starts taking a couple shots and getting ready, telling me she'll just drink before she leaves and not when she goes out. She also tells me a few times she won't be out long, just wants to come back to me. Sounds great, I don't want her out too long anyway. Our small city has our own version of Bourbon Street, and we have a pretty popular annual event over the course of a weekend that draws 30,000 people in from around the country. This event is held on that street, so it was a pretty obvious choice for a fun night. They left at 10 p.m. I text her at 10:20, jokingly asking her if she got murdered by her Uber. An hour later, and I hear nothing. So I call her a couple times. She doesn't answer. No real surprise, if she's in a club, she probably can't hear her phone. I shoot a text asking her to call me so I know she's okay, if I should wait up for her or just go to bed. Another hour rolls by and I still haven't heard anything. I call her a few more times and still no answer. At this point I start to get a little worried, because she usually never lasts this long when she goes out. Usually 1-2 hours. So I get on her iCloud to see if she's still at the event or what. The GPS pulls up a location about 15 minutes away from the event. A random house. I don't know anyone that lives there, and my wife doesn't know anyone who lives there that I knew of at least. I start to panic inside. Is she at another party? Cheating? Got drugged? I call her phone at least 15 times straight, and of course get no answer. I start to go pretty crazy and blow up her phone. After another grueling hour of setting off the remote alarm, calling, and texting, I still hear nothing. I unfortunately don't have her friend's number either. So after a ton of contemplation and still maybe a choice I regret, I wake up my kid, get him in the car, and head over to the house her phone is pinging at. I drive by, and there's nothing but motorcycles in the driveway. I didn't think my wife was into that type of guy. And as I'm driving by, a couple of dudes come out the door. By this time, it's 1:45 a.m. It's pitch black, and I have no weapons. With my kid in my car, I felt like I had no choice but to call the cops to give me some backup. Here's where things get real ducking stupid. The cops arrive, tell me to stay in my car down the road. One goes to the house, the other stays by me. After a few minutes I can't see what's going on at all. The cop by me relays me a message from his radio. Your wife says there's no guys here, and she's disappointed you would track her, and she's Ubering home, and you'll talk when she gets home. After apologizing to the police for wasting their time, I take myself and my zero pride back home. About 10 minutes later I get a call from my wife asking me what the hell is going on. She's still drunk as hell, clearly Haven drank more. I called her out on there not being any guys there, and she didn't need even telling the cops that. Who are you going to trust, a cop or your wife? When I refused to believe her. After prying and prying and prying, this is all I was able to get her to admit to. She went out to the event. Some bikers hit on only her friend. They asked just her friend back to their place, and they just happened to have an extra seat on a bike to take my wife to. She was very specific it was a bike with an extra seat, only after I complained that she held on to another dude on a bike for 15 minutes. Anyway, they get back to their place, drink more, and just sit on the couch while they hit on her friend. Her jacket was off, she doesn't know I could see it pinging to the back right corner of the house, likely a room, so that's why she didn't hear the phone. She did try to lie as soon as she called me after the cop incident, saying no guys were at the house. She only came clean to there being guys after I told her I was physically at the house and saw the people with my own 2 eyes. And it was out in the sticks, so houses had enough distance between them that there was no mistaking I had the right house. She insists she did nothing there but sit on the couch, and no one hit on here. I'm just so lost on what to do. She did end up coming home, and she tried to plead with me before she passed out, but I really wasn't having any of it. Unfortunately, I have literally no one to crash with, so I'm having to stay in the same house with here at the moment. But I am definitely keeping my distance and really just not talking with her until I can figure out what I can do. I feel in my gut like my wife cheated on me, but I can see it both ways so easily. I feel like I'd be a fool to blindly believe she did nothing. But I feel like there's a small chance she's telling the truth. There's just no way to ever know for sure. And I can't stop cringing that I had to call 2 cops out to a street for my maybe cheating wife to tell me to duck off home. Update: wife 22F told me 25M tonight that during a party she grinded on a male coworker among other things. So about 3 weeks ago my wife, we have been married for 3 years and together for 2 years before that, went with a bunch of coworkers to a club. She has done this in the past and it has been no big deal. She has a couple of close friends, girls that I really trust, and I know she has a good time with them. So during that night, after a few hours, somewhere around 1 a.m., her friend called me and told me that my wife was super messed up and very, very drunk. The friend told me that my wife was crying because she thought I would be mad at her. I wasn't mad that she was drunk, it was actually quite funny. So her friend was able to bring my wife home, I cleaned her up, and we went to bed. I didn't really think anything of it. Fast forward a week, and she was acting really weird one day. So eventually, after drawing it out of her, she told me that one of the co-workers she was with at the club, let's call him A, wanted to talk to her in private at work that day. She told me that A told her that when they were at the club that they really danced and she was grinding on him. My wife said that she thought A was lying, because her friends didn't tell her about that and they were with her. She was blackout drunk that night, so she didn't remember anything at all. When I was cleaning drunk wife up when she came home that night, drunk wife specifically told me that everyone was very nice to her and nobody took advantage of her. Which I thought was kind of weird. But anyways, I was so mad at A, because I have met him before and he clearly knows that my wife is married to me. I thought that he must have taken advantage of her by dancing, because he wasn't that drunk if he remembers. I promised her though that I wouldn't message A on Facebook, because she really didn't want a ton of drama to appear at her workplace. She wanted to move past this. This is a career job, and she loves it there. Plus I didn't know if anything good would come of it if I messaged A, so I never did. Fast forward to today, and she told me that more of the story came to her at work a week ago, but she didn't want to make me sad, so she didn't want to tell me anything. So through her tears she told me the new information. She told me that A came up to her at work again and asked if they were okay. They were somewhat friends before this happened. She tried to avoid him the last couple of weeks at work, but it is nearly impossible since they are at a daycare type workplace. She told him that she was mad at him, and that I was mad at A as well. She also still didn't know if A was telling the truth or not. I told her the whole story of that night. He told her that in the van the whole group of about 6 people all took a van together to the club. My wife was rubbing his beard. I said that he knew she was drunk at this point already, but not sure how drunk she was. So she was rubbing his beard and telling him it was a nice one. Then I said when they got there, and after more drinks, she was giving him the flirty eyes. I said that he grabbed my wife and started dancing with her. I said that he rubbed his hands on the front of her, but only on her stomach. Then he said that my wife's friends saw what was going on, and pulled her off of him. After telling her the night story, I asked my wife if she was happy with me. He said, "Are you sure you are happy right now?" To my wife more than once during that conversation apparently. My wife told him that of course she was happy, that I was her husband, and we were even trying to start a family. After that conversation my wife talked to her friends more about that night. Her friends said that they remembered all of that except that as soon as the dancing started they pulled her off of A. They said it wasn't long at all. They also said that in the car on the way home they took her home separate from A, which I am grateful of. My wife said, "I can't believe I did that with A. My husband is going to be so upset with me," and she was crying. So they called A and asked him if anything worse happened. And he apparently said no moves were made. Then they called me and told her that she was super drunk and they were bringing her home. They also told me not to be mad at her for being drunk. I wasn't, because I didn't even know what happened. I appreciate my wife telling me all of this tonight. It just sucks, because things were going so well the last few months. Like we were in such a good stride. I love her so much, and I know that we can get through this, but it just hurts. I never yelled, never got angry, I was just so sad. I thanked her for telling me the truth, And I told her that I forgive her. I keep seeing the image of him grinding on her, and her giving him those looks that I thought were only for me. It's like that night is haunting me. My heart aches and I honestly don't feel like doing anything. I know that it could have been way worse, but it still was bad. I don't know what I should do. She apologized a ton. I could tell she was being genuine. She told me that she would never put herself in a position like that again. She really doesn't remember any of that night. Should I try and contact A? Should I try to contact her friends? Am I making a big deal out of this and it's really nothing that bad? I have forgiven her, but should I set ground rules or just keep going forward? I really don't think she will ever be in a situation like that again. It sucks though that she sees A every single day at work. I am sorry if this got a little ranty. I appreciate anyone who has read this all the way through. Any help is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much in advance. And Happy New Year.